Hello and welcome to Cool Breeze Over the Mountains, a podcast where we chronologically step through each film starring Keanu Charles Reeves. I am Andrew Gormley, one of your hosts, joined in this episode and every episode by the incomparable Whitney Nelson.
Hello, I've already learned something new. I had no idea his middle name was Charles, so right out the gate, we are getting into it.
And the incorrigible Evan Wells.
Hi there. I can't even put to words how excited I am for this.
So those nicknames were whole cloth. I don't know. We might have to work on those, but incomparable, incorrigible. I was going for, what do you call that?
Alliteration.
Alliteration. That's it.
Nailed it.
I'll think of better ones.
I mean, I'm into incomparable. That's cool with me. So
yeah, and Evan incorrigible. It works. It works.
Yeah, it's all there.
If you were unaware, this show is called Cool Breeze Over the Mountains because that is what Keanu means in Hawaiian. Evan, Whitney, let me ask you, do you know what your names mean?
Not in Hawaiian, but I don't think there's any Whitneys in Hawaiian. I do know the origins of the word.
Go for it.
From the White Isle.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I looked that up because I was super interested in that. Do you know what White Isle?
It's a Scottish thing, isn't it?
Well, I found two White Isles. And so the first one is Wakari. That's off the coast of New Zealand. I don't believe that is the White Isle.
I do not believe that's the White Isle. It's my name is referencing now.
Right. The other one, potentially, I don't know. Ibiza is also called the White Isle. Huh. So that might be you. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Evan, do you know your name?
So I know more about my middle name.
I don't know. No,
you didn't research that one. But my first name, this is going to sound truly arrogant.
Go for it. No.
I have an inkling of it referencing something about a king.
Okay. I'm going to tell you. Are you ready?
I am ready.
This is from names.org, both Whitney's and Evan's. Here we go. It means God is good.
Oh, sure. I was close.
It's the Welsh form of John. Did you know that?
Yes, it's all coming back to me, actually, now that you're saying this.
No, it's not. You're a liar. Such a liar. I am incredibly excited to have both of you here with me. Let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, I floated that crazy post out there into the world, and it was met with such an interesting response from people.
Yes.
And I can't quite put my finger on why. So let me ask Whitney, what would compel a person to spend this much time and energy talking about Keanu Reeves?
Well, I think that the thing about Keanu Reeves that is so intriguing, at least for me, is that he has some of the movies that he's been in the different sort of like eras of Keanu have been like genre changing films. He's been in some of the biggest things you can be in certain areas. And also he's been in some real stinkers. And he's been terribly miscast for most of his career. And yet he still keeps getting roles. And I think that is so unlike other people's story that's why he's so interesting to talk about.
I agree. That sounds really good. Yeah. How about Ev? Why are you here? I mean, you could be doing anything else right now. Why are you here?
I get the feeling that Keanu is like the Creed of actors. And he just gets this undeserved stigma around him around not being good, and it could come back to being miscasted. That's a great point. But you know how everybody just hates Creed, and there's no real reason behind it, right? You listen to their music; it's a pretty classic rock band. They make pretty normal rock music like any other rock band. But
can I pause you for just 1 second?
Yes.
I thought you were talking about Creed the movie.
No,
not Creed the band. And I didn't.
The band.
That's why I laughed, because I thought you were going in a different direction. So
the band.
You just recontextual. Okay. All right. Please continue.
But it makes even more sense now because
it made no sense the first time.
Yeah. He just kind of, I think, gets put in this corner of not getting the good roles or not being a great actor. And I don't think that's deserved. And I think it's also worth mentioning your point around when you first kind of surfaced this idea that I pretty much say yes to most of Andrew's ideas. So for the most part, I'm just kind of here to see where this goes.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the time of year where most of the ideas are born and then also die. So if you were to look at like my where I register domains, this time of year, there are probably like 13 of them that are like, this is expiring. Do you want to renew? And I'm like, nah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But this one, in the span of 2 weeks, went from a funny kind of jokey thing to a real deal. We're here doing this. So that's amazing.
We're in it.
Thank you both up front for being a part of it.
Yeah, thanks for the idea.
Yeah, where would we be without your ideation? That's the question.
I probably watching any film you wanted to, really. I mean, like, instead of these couple that we're going to get to soon. So, speaking of movies, I put together this list, which I think is pretty comprehensive of the things that we would want to watch that he's been in. He's had a few cameos here and there. He's done a few television appearances. There was obviously the Bill and Ted animated show. I'm not including that.
Sure.
So, Ev, with you, of that list that I sent over, how many of those films do you think you've seen?
So we should clarify that of the available movies to watch, that is totaling 62 from my math. And I went through and looked, and I think I'm somewhere around 13 of those that I have seen.
Whoa. Why are you here?
Like I said, I don't really say no to your ideas.
It's a small sampling. So everything you're basing your opinion on is it's a small sampling overall.
I think this is where the Creed, the band analogy is really falling apart.
Yes. Yes.
It's because your argument is that Creed is a fine band. The reason people don't like them is because they're so average. And that's why you think Keanu has a bad reputation. You are saying that you've only seen 13 of his films when he has like 70, 80 credits on IMDb.
Correct. That is
so
correct.
You're only seeing the good ones. You're not seeing the high highs and the low lows.
So that's what I get to bring to this, right? Is an unbiased and kind of virgin eyes to, his talents that I seem to be unaware of.
No judgments here. You're here. You're ready to put the work in. That's
I'm ready.
That is what's most important.
I have never watched a movie with a notebook and a pen, but I'm gonna have to start.
I bought several little notebooks. So yeah, Whitney, of these movies, how many of these do you believe you have seen, or unless you have like an exact count?
I did not do an exact count. I kind of skimmed through, and I think of these. Now, part of my problem is I can't remember names. I can't remember names of movies. I can't remember names of musicians. I can't remember names of people. And so I think that I've seen probably about 25 of these, but some of those are guesses based on like posters looking familiar or something like that. I won't know until I actually get into the movie if I've actually seen some of these before, but there's quite a few that I know that I have seen. So 25 is my guess.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm probably somewhere in that same realm, and it wouldn't be the ones that you necessarily think.
Yeah, same for me. Like, I've never seen Bill and Ted.
That is amazing, actually. So you are in for a treat.
That one was on my list.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that to be captured for posterity.
Yeah,
the first time
you're going to go on an excellent adventure, and then you will go on a bogus journey. So it's going to be no spoilers. Okay, so we actually can spoil some 25, 30-year-old movies, turns out. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Probably at 25 of these, some weird ones, and I'm sure I've actually seen many of the bad ones, even some of the more current bad ones. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to say a movie's bad. I'll just say that they weren't for me. Those movies weren't for me. So
I'm definitely going to say some movies are bad.
That's okay.
Yeah, I won't hold back.
All right. So I've read, I had you guys send me over some bios. I read through those. I've really enjoyed them. I would like Whitney to start. Tell me the first movie you saw starring Keanu Reeves, or the first one that you remember seeing, because my memory about that's a little fuzzy. What I remember versus what I first saw are two different things.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
my first, and this is not, I did not see this movie, but my first Keanu memory is my parents watched Speed and I was in bed. And they watched it so loud that the next morning I was quoting lines from the movie and they were horrified that I had listened to the movie. And I was like, there's not even anything bad in this movie. I don't know why you're trying to shelter me from it. But that's my first Keanu memory was Speed from my bed, trying to sleep while they were blasting Speed. I think the first thing that I actually saw that I remember and registered as Keanu Reeves was Chain Reaction.
Amazing.
And
Yes,
I am
I have
very
seen that
excited
one.
to talk about that one.
Right. Yes. Well, that's part of your bio. I won't spoil it, but let's wait for that. How about you, Ev? What was the first one that you really remember him from?
Yeah. So I was leaning towards Speed, but I think it's really easy to go Matrix just because that was so mainstream. And, you know, I think that was one of those movies where people went to the theater 2 or 3 times to see that movie. And the Speed is just kind of that go-to, I think, because it felt like it was on TV all the time. And it felt like it got to TV pretty quickly. So I don't necessarily place Keanu in that movie as kind of being what I remember about it. That credit's definitely going to go to Matrix, but Speed is just from an age perspective, I think, going to be the first one.
All right, Speed. That's a great one. Yeah, can't beat that. Sandra Bullock, maybe one of her first big breakout roles there as well. Mm-hmm. So really, really good.
And Andrew, what about you?
The one that I remember the most is actually Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So Speed, I remember, but before that, as a kid, I used to watch Bogus Journey over and over again. My neighbor had, if you remember this concept, my neighbor had the black box.
Mm-hmm,
Do you remember what that was? Where you get HBO for free? And he would just record everything from HBO. So he had these cassette tapes of everything that was running on HBO. And one of them was Bill and Ted. So I stole that. I asked him. And I just kept it. And I would watch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. There's a scene where they're playing, minor spoilers, they're playing chess with a character. And they keep winning. And he keeps upping the ante. So it's like best out of 3. And then they win 3. He's like best out of 5, best out of 7. It's really good. I remember laughing really hard at that. So that's like one of my fondest memories of Keanu Reeves. So, and I guess Alex Winter as well. So
that's where it all began.
So that's where we all remember him from. Now, what, Whitney, is your favorite Keanu performance?
I've been thinking about this a lot because I knew you were going to ask it, and I don't know if I have an answer. I feel like there's so many. And unfortunately, I think I got to go really, really recent and say John Wick. I think John Wick is my favorite Keanu. I'm not a fan of serious action movies, like the Bourne movies and whatever. I'll watch them and they're fine, but I never seek them out on my own. It's always because someone else wants to see them, or that's, there's a group going to the theater. And John Wick, I had a very different impression of what that movie was. And so I didn't see it for years. And right before 2 came out, my ex was like, you have to see John Wick so we can go see John Wick 2 opening day. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I watched it and I was like, this is one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
So I think that's my favorite Keanu role is John Wick.
Oh my God. That's okay. That's going to be tough to beat. Ev, where are you?
I mean, I'm in that same world. I think where it's interesting for me is, for some reason, he became an action actor in that movie for me, even though prior he did plenty of action. Mm-hmm. And some of it had to do, I think, with the proximity to which I watched that, as well as The Accountant, which I know isn't really in this, but seeing that movie and how that kind of threw me off as well from an action actor perspective. Mm-hmm. And then coming over to John Wick, it was like, what is this? Is there some sort of trend happening right now where they're getting these actors that have been around for a while and throwing them into these very serious action movies and doing it well? And so that was something that was very exciting. And then obviously no, going into the second one, and now the third one is coming as well. There's excitement there for me. It's like I can't wait to see where this story goes, because it really was a phenomenal movie, and probably one of my favorites for him, because of it felt like, I keep going back to Whitney's point, it felt like he was correctly casted for this.
So I don't know how much we want to get into that, but I was talking to people about Keanu Reeves before recording this, because I've been thinking about Keanu Reeves a lot in the last 2 weeks. And basically what it came down to in the conversations is Hollywood keeps trying to cast him as a romantic lead. And that's never a good idea. All of his best roles are when he is not a romantic lead. He's just a lead. And I think John Wick is the perfect example of that. He shined so much in those movies. Obviously, I don't want to take away everything we're going to say when we watch John Wick, but he shines so much in those movies because it's just about him getting things done. It is not about him falling in love. And anytime that he's a love interest, it doesn't play.
I absolutely agree with you. There's a line in John Wick that I think actually describes Keanu, where I'm going to mess up this guy's name. He's the head of the Continental. He's an amazing actor.
He's good.
Got an amazing voice. Name? It's going to kill me. I'm going to actually look it up. Ian McShane. I don't have to look it up. My brain recalled it immediately.
Nice. Great
Ian
work.
McShane calls him a force of nature. And I'm like, that is actually Keanu Reeves. That is not John Wick he's talking about. I think my favorite movie, my favorite performance of his, goes just a little bit further back. Taking nothing away from John Wick, I thought that him as John Constantine, another John, was just like a really fun, pulpy movie. I loved everything about that. Mm-hmm. Granted, I have not seen it since it came out, so I might be looking at it through rose-colored glasses, looking very much forward to revisiting it. But I remember that role being like, this guy, obviously we all knew him from The Matrix, but I was like, there's something about this guy. He should follow this path. Keep doing this stuff.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see how some of these movies have aged.
Oh, I can tell you there are a few that I am just not looking forward to. Like
River's Edge is going to be really fun to see how that's aged.
So have either of you seen Johnny Mnemonic?
No.
Okay, so that was basically kind of the Matrix. Well, I don't want to say that. It was Matrix-y before the Matrix. There was this whole kind of milieu of movies that came out around that time. There was another one called Virtuosity with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. And then I remember Johnny Mnemonic was also out around that time. And it was just these really bad sci-fi movies. And it had a lot of special effects. And it is going to be really tough to watch that right after Speed, which was pretty much a perfect movie.
Oh, man.
So looking ahead, I think we already kind of touched on this, but is there like one movie maybe that you haven't seen that you're really looking forward to watching now?
Definitely Bill and Ted for me. Definitely Bill and Ted. I'm excited for those because they're such cultural touchstones that I have never seen, that I'm very much looking forward to those.
Yeah. I was looking at these and I was going through and trying to understand the movie and go through the movie poster and see what was happening. And I think that there's a lot of these that I think they're going to be more recent that I'm excited to see. Things like, I don't think I ever saw 47 Ronin, and I've heard things about that movie, so I'm looking forward to that. But Devil's Advocate, I'm still a little unsure that name is in my mind as something that I've seen before. But I could be getting it confused with like Fallen.
Do you remember
just
Pacino?
These devil movies that kind of all go together. That's the thing. Pacino's been in 600 movies, so it's hard to say, do you remember Pacino? But
that's the next set we'll do after we get through Keanu.
yeah, plenty of content. But yeah, I think there's a bunch in here. They're kind of dotted throughout just by some of the skimming that I did about what the movies are about.
Yeah, I think I'm most looking forward to that little run of films leading up to John Wick. So like you said, 47 Ronin, Man of Tai Chi. That's when he was kind of in this samurai thing. He actually directed Man of Tai Chi as well.
Yep.
So that will be interesting to see him directing and acting. And then just a couple other ones that you wouldn't really expect. I remember that I've seen posters for The Lake House, and that's like some sort of weird love, time travel.
Yep.
I am not looking forward to the lake house. I've successfully avoided the lake house for 13 years, and now we're going to blow that all to hell.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll try to just we'll make that one short. We'll just get through.
Okay, you got to make sacrifices for your art. You know,
that's right. It's important that you're here for this, so people need to know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else that the two of you wanted to add, just in general about Keanu. We touched on a lot of like why we like him. I just say like personally, I'm not super interested in the lives of actors. Like I will follow them, but not necessarily their personal lives unless they're just obviously shitty people. And then I would be like, well, I'm not going to deal with that person anymore.
Yep.
Keanu is one where I hear about the things that he does, and he just seems like a genuinely good person.
Yep.
I was wondering if that was kind of your experience with that as well with him.
Yeah. So one of the things, New York loves him because every time he goes to New York, he rides the subway everywhere like a normal person, and that's like a big deal in New York because so few celebrities take public transportation, but in New York he does all the time. I definitely have heard only good things. I feel like I haven't heard that much about him personally, except for the tragedy of Keanu Reeves. That's like the big thing is his tragic life.
Right. Yes.
I'm kind of looking forward to using all of these movies as a way to draw parallels to kind of the growth of him as an actor, getting into directing like you were talking about, finding those similarities in his approaches to situations within movies. Like, how is he reusing emotion, and how is he reusing different approaches within each movie? I'm really excited to try and find those trends, but also just him as a person. It's interesting to see what he does outside of movies. I randomly came across this video of a company that was developing ABS for motorcycles, just very randomly. And there's Keanu riding the motorcycle to do the testing. And it's just this, like, these kinds of things that he's getting involved in, probably because he has a love for motorcycle, but also because he's genuinely interested in, developing a safer way for people to ride them. That is this really interesting marriage of kind of what he brings, right? That he's going after his passions. He's interested in betterment. You look into some of the philanthropic stuff that he does, and that's just great. It's good to have someone that you can see them on the big screen, but you can connect with them in a way that makes them feel human, and somebody that rides on a subway, to Whitney's point. So that's really exciting to me, to just not be, looking after somebody's career who is untouchable and is kind of this like big wig celebrity.
And also, let's not forget that he, plays in a rock and roll band called Dog Star. Mm-hmm. So
yes,
there's also that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I definitely think we're going to have an episode about Dog Star, because I know nothing about the music of that band. I just know that he is in a band. I don't even know what kind of music it is or what instrument he plays. So I think we should definitely talk about that at some point, because I know nothing about it other than it exists.
So I can tell you this, on the Keanu movie list, there is a movie called Ellie Parker that came out in 2005. And at that time, I was working at a video store, not a particularly well-trafficked video store. So I had a lot of time to watch movies. And in that movie, he is actually credited as Dog Star. So you get a little slice of his music, but we'll cover it well before then.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Little teaser. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Before we get to the movie we'll be watching next week, how about Whitney? Tell us where we could find you elsewhere on the interwebs.
Yes. So on Twitter, I am Whitney Ev_Nelson, and that's spelled Nelsen. And I am part of many projects now as far as podcasting goes. My Historical Hotties is my podcast where we talk about who in history is the most attractive, and then we debate it in different categories. And that's Historical Hotties, which you can find anywhere. I'm also on a video game podcast called Almost Better Than Silence, which you can also find anywhere. I am on a Real Play podcast where we play Monster of the Week game, and that I play Annabelle in that one, and you can find that Myth Takes. That's MYTH Takes. And yeah, that's it. So find me those places.
Ev, where are you on the internet?
So I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter.
But what about all the other podcasts you do?
Yeah, I mean, what a list. Where do I start? No, I'm on no other podcast. This is, if you weren't able to pick up on it, my first podcast.
You're exclusive to this one.
Yeah, you can find me in places like Instagram and Twitter with the handle Evan Acree, which is my middle name that Andrew wouldn't let me talk about. And that is spelled ACREE. So feel free to find me there and, reach out. Happy to talk.
You can find me on all platforms. I'm at Dark Driving. I have a video editing podcast I do on YouTube called The Primary Storyline. Go check that out. Find that. I'm at andrewgormley.com. The Twitter and email for this podcast is at coolbreezepod on Twitter and coolbreezepod@gmail.com. Please send us your thoughts and your questions. And if you really want to know about Evan's middle name, we can probably discuss that via email. I don't know if it has a spot on the show.
We might want to save that
exciting.
for like Patreon donors or something down the road.
Right. That's like a vlog. We can
There's so many options, really. Yeah.
So with all that said, thank you all for listening. And in the words of Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan, be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes.